All right, ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. The Clockwork Orange Dramatic Cinematic Podcast Review and the Malcolm McDowell panel at Scarefest 2013. They are together. First off, you will hear myself, Mr. Manifesto, Dave Gibson, and Mr. B. Keith Hughes discuss the Clockwork Orange film. And then it'll go into Malcolm McDowell's panel at Scarefest talking about Clockwork Orange and many other things. Enjoy.
Dramatic cinematic, bitches.
Check us out, dramaticcinematic.com. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to this little thing I like to call the Dramatic Cinematic Show. I am your host, MuGumBo, like always. And with me tonight are a couple of guys. Northern East Coast guys. I don't know how I teamed up with a couple Northeasterners. We got a Baltimore and a Maine guy here. We got a Southern Eastern Coast guy, Mr. Dave Manifesto Gibson.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening indeed. Also with us is the mayor of Podcast Ville himself. He spent $7 on a box of like 40 headsets, right? He uses them once and puts them on his wall, kind of like the dude in Major League did with all his gloves. Anyways, obscure reference. Mr. B. Keith Hughes.
How are we doing tonight? Is this Louis? Moral Victory MuGumBo I got here?
The Moral Victory MuGumBo it is. Yes, folks, we are actually here to talk about a film. A film indeed. A film that many would call classic. A film that was way ahead of its time, that was misunderstood in its time period, and will live on forever. It's a beautiful piece of artwork and really captures a moment in society. The film I'm talking about is Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick.
There was me, that is Alex, and my three droogs, that is Pete, Georgie, and Dim. And we sat in the Corova milk bar trying to make up our razoo docs what to do with the evening. The Corova milk bar sold Milk Plus, which is what we were drinking. This would sharpen you up and make you ready for a bit of the old ultra-violence.
Aggressive, young, bold, vicious. He'll do.
Anyone else come back?
Now it was lovely music that came to my aid, a bit of the old Ludwig van.
Pretty well, little brother. Pretty well. Stop it, please, I beg you! Food, all right. Great, sir, great. Try the wine.
Oh, it was gorgeousness and gorgeosity made flesh.
Wow, that was an awesome trailer, guys. Wow, that was pretty spiffy.
Yay!
Yeah, golf clap indeed. So, what do you think about this? Like, when was the first time you, gentlemen, you know, I know Mr. Manifesto, you and I, we weren't even born when this movie came out, but Mr. Hughes here, well, hell, he was already going to see teenage movies at this time.
Whoa. I'm going to turn 40 in about 2 days here. I was not alive when this movie came out.
It's 1971? Are you sure? Are you sure? I think you were alive.
Yeah.
I think actually that would make you right exactly alive at 1971.
I was born in 73. This was 71.
Oh, shit. That's right. I forgot. And I am older than I thought I was. Oh, about my bad. I'm terrible with math. Anyways, so Mr. Hughes here, seeing this in the drive-in when it was new, what was it like? What was the public's opinion on such a thing? I can't even say it seriously. Anyways, guys, we're gonna start a new scoring system: 0, 0, and 1 for MuGumBo. You know, it's the win, loss, and moral victory category. That was just horrible, man. Like, and you hurt my feelings.
I'm not the one that put the painted Lords of Salem face up in old chick form on our little Facebook page.
Oh, that wasn't even what that was. That was, I'm not even sure what that was. It was just some crazy picture. It was like I have so many pictures I've taken at these conventions here lately that I had to find a use for one. So I decided to plaster it up there, and that was like ridiculous. It was like a mask somebody had made. It made me it gave me a half chubby and like scared at the same time. It was disgusting. Anyway, so speaking of finding excitement in strange and weird places, Clockwork Orange, was this not like a? I mean, honestly, I saw it when I was very young, right? Like, when did you guys see this probably for the first time?
Well, I have to say, the first time I probably saw it, I would think about 10 years old. I remember the first time I saw this film, Showtime had like a cult movie marathon on. It was played with Flash Gordon, which is like the softcore porn version of Flash Gordon, and Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I
asshole slut. What?
I hate Rocky Horror Picture Show, but this movie just blew me away. And the fact that it's 40 years old, I'm sorry, Keith, it's not 40, it's 42 years old. It's just amazing how it's just stood the test of time. It's still futuristic.
Well, I mean, Kubrick was a genius. I mean, if you look at he did like, I don't have the number on the tip of my tongue, but he did only a very select number of films, and this was, one of his best, if not his best film he had did. And he had an amazing run of films that were astounding. 2001, the last one he did was Eyes Wide Shut. He did Dr. Strangelove. I mean, this is a guy that really, don't
forget The Shining and Full Metal Jacket, which three of these movies are my top 10 ever.
And what about the 5 years that he did nothing but bestiality porn? That was really a turning point for him in his creativity process.
Well, he did that under the assumed name of Stanley Cooldick.
Oh yes, with a C too, to really throw off the fanboy.
It was Louis Kugel, but all right, that's just me.
We're using real names here, Bruce.
Wait, you've been calling me out, Keith Hughes, all night long. Let's go.
Well, what am I supposed to call you, B? What up, B? What's up, B?
Right, you want to be Keith Hughes? That's what it is, the mayor.
The mayor of Podcast Ville. And we say that because you do have the show called Phallic Shape Smoking Devices and Drunken Roofville and all, right?
Lubrication.
Like or what was the name of it? It's a one-stop shop, like everything you need to ruin the rest of your life.
That's right. and to wipe out some memories and
don't get me stuck in a roofie hole.
Seriously though, I mean, Kubrick's theme was essentially about the duality of man. I mean, and you could see that in this film. I mean, you had, what is the ultra violence, and then at the same time you get to see the state come in and basically take that away. And what does it mean? What does it mean to be moral then?
Well, it takes both away. It goes from one extreme to the next, right? We see both sides of the pendulum here. We see the ultra bad, nasty, the anarchist at heart, the ultra violence, the old in and out, just literally to be weird for the sake of being weird. Just like when singing in the rain, kick, singing in the rain, stomp, stomp. So everybody feeling kick, sting.
Full ad lib too.
Well, done 1971, awesome. it would not surprise me the least bit if there had been some hallucinogenic drugs or other experimental things that would even be deemed necessarily illegal at that time period. Just experimental. It is 1971.
Malcolm McDowell, Kubrick wanted him to sing and dance, but Singing in the Rain was the only song that he could remember off the top of his head.
Well, it made it even more odd.
Kubrick had to rush out and pay for the rights for the song.
Because it was too good of a scene. He couldn't throw the scene away, right? He couldn't redo that. Like, he captured it, and yeah, you're right. I'm sure. Like, I'll never, like, whatever it costs, I don't care. Sir, it's gonna be $40,000 to get that song. Oh shit, that's 4 days of filming.
Took 1,000 takes on every shot he did, so he was very insane. He was such a perfectionist. I read somewhere the scene where Alex, when he gets spit, and when they spit right in his face and it's dripping down, they did 40 takes of that. And the original actor, they had to bring somebody else in to spit because he ran out of saliva.
You realize there's that moment where you're like, I'm not doing another fucking take. If this motherfucker spits on me again, I swear to God, I'm fucking killing you all. 36 of them was plenty enough times where, like, I felt it. I know when it's good fucking saliva on my face. And the last 15 times were just fine. You know, fuck you if you don't know how to work a camera. Fuck you, you're pretty cool. I'm out of here.
Well,
right?
I think the only thing that I could say that probably makes that he probably took it and said, can I have another, is that Malcolm McDowell actually felt like he became really close with Kubrick before the end of the film, and he actually thought that he was going to be friends with him. And as soon as the thing was over, Kubrick was done with him, and he moved on. Just because, I mean, Kubrick was a weird guy. I mean, he was really weird.
Right.
I mean, that was just part of his experience.
Yeah, I can see how that dynamic, like, because you're on a set together, it's very close and intimate. You get to know somebody, but when it's over with, he's like, I'm back to my real life. And at the time, Malcolm McDowell was really kind of a nobody, right? I mean, he really kind of knocked it out of the park for his first try. I wouldn't say first. Let's see here. What was his first? Was I guess he was going in 1964 on TV and stuff up until then. British TV, which pretty much pays nothing.
Kubrick refused to do the movie unless he had Malcolm involved. So he must have saw something that really blew him away.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, he was the type of guy, though, he would take years between films. I mean, he had like a 40-year career, but I think he had like maybe 12 or 13 films. He was not pumping out stuff.
Right. But
I liken him to Daniel Day-Lewis, where just everything he touches is gold. He just doesn't touch much.
You know what? That's a very good guy to bring up, because we were trying. I've been trying to think of an actor that you could put on the level of a Kubrick, and you just hit it. Daniel Day-Lewis is the guy.
Yeah, he's to me, he's the best actor in the world. I don't think anybody's as good as him. He just does a movie every 5-6 years.
I thought he was done doing movies. In fact, I know that's an aside, but I thought he wasn't doing it more. I have to agree. Everything he's done is amazing. You know?
He's the only actor to win 3 Best Actor awards, so it's pretty amazing feat.
Yeah.
And Kubrick, I think Kubrick should probably have won should have won the Oscar for every film he put out. And what really blew me away is
just every one of them. Like, there was a bad one.
You guys know that the first movie that he did. You could call. I'm going to have to go back and see the name of it now because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But the first movie that he did was he took it out of circulation.
Flying Padre, the RKO Path Screenliner. No. Killer's Kiss.
Nope, it was no. That's not it. It was the precursor to The Paths of Glory. Which he did later, which was a war flick. This was the precursor to it, and he hated it. He had no money to do it. I mean, this guy, if you just read his history is amazing when you think about how little he had, how few films he had to create. And think about the breadth that he did. He did like every genre. I mean, he did war movies. He did space movies. I mean, he did these weird, surreal movies. I mean,
he did the greatest horror movie in modern history, in my opinion. The Shining is just amazing. You can't.
Well,
you
so
can't go out.
The only thing I'll say about that is
it is a great movie.
The one guy that hated it was Stephen King.
Yes, that damn it, that's you East Coasterners. That was supposed to say
I read a lot of
yes.
Stephen, and I just want to say that movie that I was talking about is Fear and Desire. That was the one that he wiped off the face of the earth. He bought all the rights to it. He got rid of it because he hated it because it was low budget and it was his first time out. So
I am going to erase a memory of my own.
Well, he did Full Metal Jacket in '87. Didn't do Eyes Wide Shut until '99. I mean,
he had 15 years, and that's why for me, I want to go back and see.
If you do 100 takes for every scene, it takes 15 years to edit all that together. Come on, guys. All right, guys, that's pretty good. First 20 minutes here. We need to do it 100 more times. All right, and then we'll get the show right. Okay, and then we can move on to the second part.
Oh, definitely.
For this 10-minute show. Half-hour show. Hour show. I think everybody would say that Clockwork Orange is their favorite, the most extreme. But I don't. I guess maybe in today's day and age we're so desensitized that I see this ultra violence and the old in and out, and I wasn't horrified. I've seen such horrible things now that I didn't even realize there was times the wife walked in hey like Louis standing there my young son. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think about it didn't even occur to me that what I was watching was filthy porn.
It never struck me at a lot of you see the most disturbing movie lists and stuff like that. It's always high up. It was beautiful to me. I think it's a beautiful film. It never disturbed me.
It is amazing.
I always looked at the underlying message to it. I never saw it as disturbing myself.
It's amazing how in 1971 they had such good film stock, and with the right lighting and knowing what the fuck you were doing when you were filming, how beautifully shot this film is. How crystal clear.
This film was rated X when it came out.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's only one of two films rated X to ever get nominated for an Oscar. And they didn't
curse a whole lot either. He kind of came up with his own language, right? That was, or a language that already kind of existed in some weird way. That was a combination of Russian and English slang and some Scottish, and there was what was it called? It is Druids by Anthony Burgess's invention. Nadsack was one. A Nadsack, a mix of English, Russian, and slang. Stanley Kubrick was afraid that they had used it too much, and the movie would not be accessible by all because it'd be too obscure.
I read the book, and the book is a difficult read because you have to. Not only are you using your mind to read and taking this image into your head, you're trying to remember this extra vocabulary that doesn't exist anywhere else. I think he did a great job of bringing that into the movie and not doing an overkill with it.
Yeah, because it was very subdued. I mean, you kind of just felt. Well, I mean, as a American, I go to the UK frequently. There are times that people in the UK say stuff that I don't really understand, so I kind of, in my own American ignorance, attribute.
Mayor of Podcast Ville, you are a traveler abroad.
I'm as we speak.
Yes, you are. You are the Great White North, aren't you?
No, well, it's kind of like an ugly broad. But yeah, I don't know what to call that. But.
Hey, when you go up there, do you get maple candy?
I have. I've gotten the maple cookies, and I brought it back. I brought a moose hat from my son.
Also, you have to fuck a lumberjack while you're there. That's like tradition.
We have different traditions in Delaware. I don't know what you do in Indiana, but that's not what we do over here.
No, I'm pretty sure that it's expected of that community that you're in. Is you find there might just be one. He might be an old dude, but he's used
talking
to
about
it.
Kubrick.
The past couple of nights. That's been. I've been trying to figure out what her deal is. She's in there in F me clothes every night. I'm like, all right, There's something going on there. You're going to wake up with a little note sticking on you that says, call help. You don't have a liver anymore or something. I'm staying out of that.
Well, getting back to the movie, just Kubrick, it's
Whoa.
a testament to him as a director. How did he get this on a major company as Warner Brothers to put this out in 1971?
Back in 1970, 69, when he pitched this and got funded, right? He just showed up with a suitcase full of drugs and got them all fucked up. He had some like pictures drawn up of it, and the idea I'm sure he's a talker, right? Well, maybe he isn't. That's why he's only done 13 films or whatever.
Well, he's got to be a great salesperson.
Well, no, actually not really. He's only done 12 titles. So like if he was a really great salesperson, I would imagine he would have at least 36. But that's just me. You guys are right. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. There's very few on here that I haven't seen that he's done. Except for Eyes Wide Shut, I have never seen. That's the Tom Cruise one, and
that's an awesome movie.
Oh, I hate Scientology. No, I don't hate Scientology. I just hate Tom Cruise. Because he smiles on the screen, and I'm just like, oh, like. Anyways.
In my opinion, it's Tom Cruise's best performance.
Really better than Top Gun.
Him and Nicole Kidman, they were married.
Better than
at the
Maverick.
time.
Really better than Maverick.
The tension when they
better
argue,
than Days of Thunder,
so
dude.
realistic. It seems
I
like
think you're right. No,
How can it be better than
Days
Tropic
of
Thunder?
Days of Thunder.
Cocktail.
Oh my goodness, Cocktail.
Days of Thunder. I'm talking about where Nicole Kidman, like the best scene is when she pulls up his. Don't you remember?
Oh yeah. No. I fucking love that movie. I hate Tom Cruise so much, but I fucking love that movie.
I actually am being a little bit facetious. I don't like Days of Thunder, but
you do. There's a part of you that just like the dialogue's off. You're talking about it. You have it memorized.
When she pulls up his little like a man skirt or whatever it is, and looks under it. He really wasn't wearing anything, and her surprise on her face was real surprise. That's what I heard that in their interviews somewhere in the past 25 years since that was done.
Well, because he has guys, ladies and gentlemen at home, Mr. B here has a entire room devoted to Days of Thunder.
That's right.
Heavy influence of Tom Cruise, but mostly Days of Thunder.
His man skirts is what
he's like Mountain Dew, and then he was so upset, and then it was Mellow Yellow. I was like, no, I invested in Mountain Dew stuff. Anyways, that was back when NASCAR was still they actually had cars that were made in barns. Maybe they weren't.
Oh,
anyways, so
I wouldn't know.
Full Metal Jacket is for everything else he had done. I was Platoon was around that time period. We had already had Apocalypse Now. Did we really need Full Metal Jacket?
Dude, Full Metal Jacket did the.
Did you call it Dull Metal?
The first
Dull Metal Jacket.
That movie is.
Wait. So now you said something. I want to. So I got to go back. I want to go back and see it now because what you just said, I'll agree with you. That entire thing up until the fat guy Gomer or whatever his name was blows his head off.
This is my gun.
It's amazing.
Yeah. My father was a military guy, and he said that's the closest that he's ever seen a movie.
My dad too. My dad was a Marine.
To training, basic training.
And that, especially back then, they were still they weren't allowed to hit you per se, but they could still put their hands on you, and they
hit you during Vietnam.
Yeah, well, right, but that you know what I'm saying, the rules weren't. Anyways, trust me, a smack around and some screaming at you is a lot better than bombs going off around you. Anyways, but you're right. That is two movies put into one.
And again, I want to go back to something that you said before. You asked how did he get somebody to back him in a big way? Prior to doing Clockwork Orange, he did 2001: A Space Odyssey. So he had some. Yeah, but he got 2001: Space Odyssey. I mean, what do you think that was? A $20,000 movie? No way.
I mean, what was it? Like, what? Somebody click on it that has bandwidth. Like, let's go see what the budget is on 2001: Space Odyssey. I bet that was at least a $5 million film, even back then.
If you think about it, how did he get funded to do that movie?
Because maybe because he had a suitcase full of drugs and got everybody to, like, hey, it was the 60s, guys. Come on, let's be realistic.
No, because the movie
in the 60s.
Hey, here's the reason why. The movie before 2001, before that in 64. We're talking about legendary movies. I mean, these are just about every movie. We rattle off, Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, 2001, but Dr. Strangelove, Lolita, some of these older ones were just as impactful for the time that they were in.
I will say I haven't seen Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, that's awesome.
You should see it. It's on
Amazon,
I know for sure.
Oh, is it? Is it
streaming?
Yeah, Prime. I got Prime. Yeah, we're good there.
It's on there. Yep.
I do. I should check that out because it's time. I need to start checking out more of the older classics, and that's just it. Is this exploration into being a true cinephile? There is so many films to explore. There's films that there's just not enough time in the day to watch everything. Even with Netflix and all the streaming stuff that we're able to get, it's never ending, right, guys?
Well, they keep coming out with more stuff, and the good news is most of the stuff that is out now is mostly crap. So you don't have to spend too much time on that.
Yeah, but there is mixed within the crap. There's some real jewels and gems, and some and the new generations are going to grow up with that and appreciate it in a way that we don't even understand, and that's how we like how we latched on to like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and things like that. They weren't considered, they had no idea they would be the cult phenomenon that they have become, except for that generation like latched onto them and just loved and endeared them. And of course, they made them over and over and over and over again.
Well, as I did more research on this film, I've always loved it, and I just loved the movie. I watched the documentaries, but I was blown away that this movie isn't really a cult film. This movie was a hit. This movie was the highest grossing film by Warner Brothers in 1971, which nowadays, I scratch my head. You can't get a movie anywhere near this. No. Showing 100 theaters. And Kubrick had this as the highest grossing movie for Warner Brothers. That blows me away.
1971, people were still kind of open-minded. We weren't so deep into the Cold War that we were afraid of if you kiss another person without protection, you'll get AIDS. The late 70s and the 80s. Everyone became so paranoid of everything, you couldn't be open minded anymore. That Reagan kind of gave that to us, didn't he?
That's definitely a Reagan thing.
But yeah, at the end of the 60s, into the 70s, I would imagine Vietnam was going on. That was real horror, right? Turn on the news and you see like vets, in wheelchairs with missing legs and arms and limbs, and that was the real horror. Seeing some, British cats that were into ultra violence might have been a refreshing change of pace from a daily life, right?
Well, he did an interesting thing. Some of the stuff, there was a lot of music that was in there, just like you talked about when he was doing some brutal things. He's singing in the Rain. I mean, one of the most brutal scenes was early in the film where they start beating like this homeless guy, and it was all shadowy. You didn't see it real close up, and later, you see when he's doing the some other heinous acts that you can see very clearly. It's done with the twist of, there's music and song and dance and over the top stuff.
So the movements and the motions of the shadows you were seeing that seem kind of strange make sense with the dancing to the music.
Well, I know, but I mean, what was interesting is some of the darker stuff that he put in there you couldn't see well. Other stuff that you could see well, he twisted it by putting it out of context.
There's also a scene where
where he's dancing around and beating on people to tune.
Well, he kills or beats to death the one lady with the big, huge ceramic penis. But they flipped. But like you said, they flipped away to an animation. Believe it or not, like out of nowhere, it was like almost an afterthought. And I always wondered. I was like, it was the animation of the mouths. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Was kind of out of place. Like he had to have some way to tie it all in together. Whatever the effect was that he had done was no good, or maybe that's what he always wanted it to be. Who knows?
Yeah, but you know it's amazing. Every time I watch this movie, you just start to see how many people have ripped this movie off. One that I got this time I never thought about is Warriors, which is a movie I love. But if you look how the gangs were in this movie, you could tell the Warriors kind of ripped that whole thought off.
Poorly.
And I thought it was interesting how there was gangs of these little anarchists, these little groups of anarchists of the whatever they were, I almost what were the Rembrandts?
They called each other Droogs.
Droogs, which was the metaphor.
He kept referring to his friend to them as Droogs, and
they had the club with all the ceramic women bent over backwards with their bushy vaginas showing.
The Cordova Milk Bar.
Cordova Milk Bar.
Yeah, and also one that really ripped off. Do you remember Tales from the Hood?
Yes.
They have a whole part of that movie that rips off the torture.
Right. Of course, because they've got to rip something off. It's Tales of the Hood. It's kind of a parody to begin with, right? The whole thing's a comedy, so of course they would. Just like
it as a comedy. I just saw it as a black version of other horror movies,
like Scary Movie. Is kind of like
no,
Scream.
that was it was nothing like Scary Movie. It was trying to be a horror movie. It was just
Tales from the Hood was awesome. So was the Leprechaun 4 or whatever from the Hood.
Now Leprechaun 4 was a parody, and that's an awesome movie.
It is fucking awesome, but it's a parody of itself. I mean, like it was actually its own. Like it really was parodying itself.
We went from Kubrick to
yeah, I know. See,
yeah, you lost me somewhere in that translation.
Home,
I got
my brain's hurting.
I can't. Steps back.
I can't follow all this. So Kubrick this dude has a vision for the shot, to frame the shot. He has such different angles, he frames everything just very uniquely. I can't even, with me messing around with video editing here recently and doing the photography thing for a very long time and everything, I'm really noticing these camera angles, and he's got a low angle looking up at them talking at a table or whatever. It was kind of a weird angle, but then it made him seem submissive. I'm like, oh, I'm starting to get it, and I don't know. He's I would imagine he's too damn smart for his own good. I'm telling you guys, the reason it takes him so long to make a movie is because, well, like you said, when he takes 100, 200, 300 shots per scene, it takes a long time to get through all that footage.
Yeah, him and Polanski's
going to take a long time. His next one's going to take quite a while.
Because he's dead? Yep, it's going to take him a bit. But it's going to be a doozy.
Top, though. He died with a great catalog.
Well,
I wouldn't call it a catalog. I would call it I would say his filmography is more like a trifold flyer than now, Malcolm McDowell, on the other hand, has done 224 credits to films. Now that's impressive.
I've seen about 5 of them.
I was going to say I can think of 2 off the top of my head. Not that he's not great. The other one I saw in college when we were all kind of standing around embarrassedly because it was Caligula, I think,
Caligula, yeah.
And he was putting a fist up someone's derriere. So,
what's embarrassing about Caligula?
Was there some weed going around?
No. This was. It would have been cool.
Was it a live stage show?
But it was more of
I can smell the feces. Oh my god! Why do we sit in the front row?
I like that fist.
Why do we sit in the front row of this live show of Caligula? I can smell it. Oh, yeah. Like one of those college experiences that I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
It's all practical effects. We don't even use effects. So, all right.
Fist.
Come on, like there's he's been in a ton of TV series, Entourage, Psych, he was also in CSI Miami. Which hey, you've never made it. This is a rule that Traumatic Cinematics had for fucking years since early in the beginning, is you have not made it in Hollywood unless you've been in a Law and Order somewhere. A CSI,
a Dick Wolf production.
A CSI, possibly. What's his name? The fucking dude, 90210, that made all them fucking horrible things. But I really don't count that.
Aaron Spelling.
You actually knew his name, you sicko. Also,
I just know him as Tori Spelling's dad.
Did she not have? Was she not like the original horse face?
She's the hottest chick with Down syndrome you'll ever see.
You put her on toast, it's butter.
Oh my goodness! Oh, it's like you can flip her over, but for safety's sake, you better
her Down syndrome.
Yeah, like that was the majority of them too. Like,
that's the whole crew.
They're like, yeah, even though you can flip her over, you probably should keep the bag on just in case she looks back.
You're not sure if you're staring at her ass.
Oh. No, at least it would be round, like smile at you. She just had like
every once in a while.
It was like if you like reach in your pocket to get your keys and instead you pull out some sugar cubes, you just know she'd come up and go and just like have this nice soft mouth sucking right out of your hand, you know.
You want counting. You have apples, you counting fingers.
I'm never bringing sugar cubes to this podcast again.
Well, I guess we're not going to be interviewing Tori anytime soon.
Oh, I know, and that was supposed to be next week too. I hope. I don't think she's a regular listener. I know Winona Ryder is no longer a listener. we ruined that fucking glory. We ruined that glory hole long ago.
How did you ruin? She's my girl, man.
Oh, wow, really? How's that Insight working for you, or what was it called? The thing that keeps anyways, we're not going into this. That's old shit. We don't need to bring. Like,
all right. Okay.
I had to sign a full closure thing and cease and desist, and
no, that was restraining order.
That might have been. I don't know. Just whatever it is. I can't stare in a window anymore. Celebrex, eyes wide shut. Tom Cruise and Kubrick. Do you think Kubrick was a Scientologist? Do you think he's in the big spaceship up in the sky?
I think he was an atheist.
I believe so too. I think there was a theme that he just had a dismal sort of outlook on man. I mean, you know, there was a twisted sort of, you know, almost, I would say, hatred for who we are as people.
Well, I think, like, the four movies, if you put them together, and granted, we're going to explore this, ladies and gentlemen. We are the first podcast in this group that is going to explore such things of Kubrickness. But if you take these four movies, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, and 2001 Space Odyssey, they all have a common denominator. It is the fall of man, the fall of the inner workings of the brain when you can no longer take it anymore. You start off sane, even if sane is insane. With the insane, like in Clockwork Orange, he starts off insane and into ultra violence and the old in out. But when they reprogram him to be moral and subservient and good, then when confronted in a situation where he needs to be able to defend himself, he can't. He's literally a completely helpless victim, useless to society in himself.
They're all nihilistic,
and then the rest of them are all falling down. It's like literally
all out of place.
It's like man losing control of his own shit. Trying to hold on to it as hard as he can, but when he loses it, he does it in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, and like I said, if you look at all the main characters, they're all out of place. If you listen to Alex speak, he has more of the northern London London accent, not the poor Cockney accent that everybody else around him has.
Right.
And he's just smarter than everybody else. If you look at Full Metal Jacket, you got a hippie who's in the military. I mean, that also seems like a theme where he has the main character is just out of place from everybody else that they're around, which is probably how Kubrick felt himself.
Well, that's a good aspect. I like that. That's a good observation.
Well, and it does. It shows Full Metal Jacket has the opportunity to show the quick progression from normality to rock bottom. As far as the famous scene, in the first act or the first half of Full Metal Jacket, in the bathroom, and Arlie Ermy, the film that made that dude famous, did it not? Just for being a loudmouth asshole, but he was good at it.
Loudmouth asshole,
dude.
too.
If he yelled at me, I'd hit the ground and do push-ups. Like
that's
I would
made a lot of people famous, hasn't it, Louis?
What's that?
Being a loudmouth asshole.
I don't know. I've been trying. I'm not a mayor of anything yet, so I'm working on it, though. I'm working on it. There's going to be an election. I know. I try to stay out of politics, but when you have a politician on your podcast, like, it's hard to even ignore it.
Louis, it'd be great if you moved to Delaware and ran against him.
I'd probably his neighborhood probably doesn't allow beards.
I was going to say, I don't know if you can kiss babies with that beard of yours.
Tickle, and then I go lift my head up out of the crib or the bonnet or the buggy, and the kid's holding on to the beard
a little bit. So
it's like, get this child off.
I'm like a cross between Wolverine and Iron Man right now with my look, with my beard. That's the way I'm going. I'm serious. I got the chops going, but then I do the little soul patch in the middle. I got it down now.
Oh yeah. Well.
Hey, it works.
It works. Whatever works for you.
My fantasy football team is doing amazing because of this.
Oh! We don't need that. That's so time sensitive of a thing.
Oh yeah, it's like 6 months.
I hate to have to edit that out next week. So
next week.
Oh my goodness, guys! So really, the falling down of man. Just like you look in the Shining. He starts off. He's like, my fantasy football team won the first game, right? And then after he loses the next 5, we see the progression of what happens to Jack as a
you might want to edit that out later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have to edit that part out. I'm pretty sure.
Oh goodness. What else about Kubrick here? Or not about Kubrick, but more about Clockwork Orange. I do have the opportunity here coming up, and it'll probably be past by the time this posts, but to meet Malcolm McDowell. And I'm basically going to ask him if he wants to go have a bit of the old in out. And I'm guessing he's never heard that.
Yeah,
I'm guessing he's never heard that before.
Grab your ankles. That's the old.
Actually, no. I'm going to make nothing but Tank Girl references. I know.
Malcolm McDowell is really cool. I've heard him in some interviews. He's a pretty awesome guy. But I did think it was interesting that he was a little let down because of Kubrick was all about his craft, and I think he was a little let down after the movie was over that he wasn't closer to the guy.
I read a funny anecdote that him and Kubrick when they were doing the narration part of the film, recording everything. Malcolm McDowell, he liked to get up and walk around, take breaks, so they would play ping pong, and he thought Kubrick would play with him. Kubrick could never beat him. He thought they were bonding, and then when Malcolm McDowell got his paycheck, he saw he was docked for the time when they were playing ping pong.
Wow, that is so Kubrick. Isn't it? That's just.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Kubrick is Kubrick a Jewish name?
I love that story.
I didn't realize that. Is Kubrick a Jewish name? I'm so terrible at surnames.
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe he was.
He's like, what? What was I? What's this? DOC. 42 minutes and 93 seconds. Wait, what the hell is this? What is this?
I work in the finance field. I like docking people, cutting budgets. I like dealing with you sales guys, David.
Well, I got this idea for this program. All it's going to do is like, how that like they have that penny they have to round up or down. It's like,
oh jeez, yeah, you do that, yeah.
That's like
just make sure
space.
Oh gosh, brilliant.
It was brilliant.
And it's so funny. We've been talking about this movie for about almost 40 minutes, and we haven't even talked about what the movie's about.
Yeah, the one thing I kept wanting to say was the fact that
had some of the most spectacular rape scenes you've seen in cinema.
Yes, but it was also banned in the UK.
Well, of course, the UK bans everything.
What?
The UK bans everything or makes them chop it up.
They banned everything.
They do. They're really bad about it.
But there were supposedly copycat killings based on this. Think about this in '71. This was 71. This is like a landmark film.
See, I was going to copycat this, but I found that the shipping on a big ceramic penis is very expensive. So I've been saving.
You know what I did? I just got some clay and put it around mine, and then I was able to create my own. But it was all right. Do what you got to do.
Oh, the crickets.
He went there. That's a mood killer.
Lily's like,
I'm talking about inanimate penises here. I'm talking about inanimate penises.
Is this on your what is that? What is that site that all the chicks have?
I'm gonna have to
see or what's that site?
I'm gonna have to hit the explicit button now because of that comment.
Wait. Is there an Avon like dance party or whatever I can go to where we get to pick this out of a catalog?
Oh, dude, isn't that messed up that we live in a day and age where it's not Tupperware parties, but it's it's the most realistic phallic penis that money can buy. It feels real in the hand, and the more you rub it, it gets stiffer. See, watch. They have Tupperware parties of
I
sex
like
toys.
that you had the sales pitch. The fact is that I don't know that story. Good stuff to bring in. I like it. Good. Let's go with it.
It's what do they call them? The glory hole girls. That they come around and do. You got to get 10 girls together to have a.
They all have beards.
But we wear nothing but pastels. There's a couple that have mustaches, but they are like handlebars. You have to have some hair on the chin.
Just keep it waxed up.
Yep. Yes. Please, curls. We like the ladies like the curls. We're gonna get Deadwood on these bitches. All right, guys. Well, I think that I'm about all ultra violenced out. I'm not sure about you.
Oh, this is a short show this evening.
Well, no, it's the exact length that it was supposed to be.
Oh, really?
Well, without fluffing it up. We fluff it up too much, then it's just, Keith over there talking about his fantasy football team. And nobody wants to hear that. Well, no. He needs to put clay around it. Therefore, really, he must feel some sort of inadequacies.
David, I just want to let you know, those go hand in hand.
Great fantasy football and large penises.
Yes.
Goodness, people. I don't know why you keep tuning in. But remember, you can tune in to traumaticcinematic.com. We have a website with all sorts of wonderful goodies and non-B. Keith Hughes related items. Lots of, I do conventions. I'm kind of a convention whore, so there's all sorts of fucking shit about that. So go check that out.
That's pretty cool, the stuff you're doing. I like it.
Twitter. TC Podcast Crew, folks, at TC Podcast Crew. Check it out. Get it. Do it. Love it. Own it. Keith, how do we find you? Never mind. They don't really want to do that.
Another podcast.
Just look for the guy with the biggest head in the room.
On Movie Cigars in the Brew with Keith and Andrew at keithandandrew.com. And you can find me on Twitter at Movie Cigar Beer or on Facebook at Movie Cigar and a Brew.
There you go. That's the straight dope. That was a Clockwork Orange, folks. It's a must. It's a classic. There's not a whole lot we can really delve into this yet.
If you don't own this, you're not a cinephile.
See, my hope here is that I'm going to go this week and be like, dude, like that podcast we recorded the other day. Well, I got like 30 minutes with Malcolm McDowell. I'm going to throw in there. We were out like hitting the hookah. It's fucking awesome, dude. Like, but he snuck some crack in there, and I wasn't cool with that. Ruined my hookah. But he was having a good time. He was a chatterbox once he hit it a couple.
What a the crack helps with that.
I'm not, folks. The views and opinions and bullshit on here are all false and fake. And if you need to sit in a cease and desist order, get a hold of Keith Hughes. He will also, if guys, get a hold of Keith here if you want a transcribed version of the show. He's doing them
transcribed version.
For the hearing impaired. Or we could just do a really loud show for the hearing impaired. But I know. This is what happens when like we have a wonderful, awesome movie that we don't want to just sit here and destroy. And if we hated this film, let's be like a 4-hour episode. We go on and on
inside the minutia of how bad it is.
Like I would like, oh, dude, Lewis, put your clothes back on. Quit rubbing your, ball sack all over the cover of this Blu-ray or this Redbox film. You're gonna go and put back in the machine.
Boy, that puts it in perspective.
Yes. I'm never going to Redbox again.
Wow. I do a lot of Redbox stuff, too. Mm-hmm. I don't even put emails from him after that.
You know something's wrong when you open it up and there's little curlies in there. Like, uh-oh. Nobody cleans the discs off. You know that. I
mean, I hear little curlies, and I'm picturing his beard. That gets all weird at this point.
You know what? I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start just,
I think that stuff's taped on. What do you think?
Ooh.
And he shaved it off his ass.
Maybe it's off of Manifestos.
Ooh.
Yeah, he mails it to me.
Ooh.
For Halloween, I'm doing the Wolfman. Yeah.
Well, you don't have much to go there.
I was going to say, what are you going to... I mean, like, all right, I'm going to shave a little bit now.
Nah, so I can see. Just so I can see.
Yeah, I'm going to shave the... I'm going to shave my eye, like my forehead. So.
All right. We're beating a dead werewolf. All right, guys, that's the show. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
I'm on the internet. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Traumatic Cinematic Show. I am your host, MuGumBo, like always. And this week we have something very special for you. It seems like I've been saying that a lot here lately, right? I've got something very special, and it does happen to be special. Well, this special this week happens to be, I attended the 2013 Lexington, Kentucky Scarefest. It's a horror convention and paranormal convention combined together. Anyways, at this particular convention, Scarefest, Malcolm McDowell just so happened to be there, and we just so happened to do a podcast on Clockwork Orange. So how fitting would it be to talk to Malcolm, right? We did it, but we didn't record it. But we captured his panel, and we got to ask a question to the panel. And I, the selfless kind of guy that I am, I put the opportunity out there on Facebook for somebody to submit a question to ask Malcolm McDowell. Honestly, the reason I did it was because everybody else, or other people in the crowd, had already asked the questions that I was actually curious about, or he on his own went into a tangent that had asked the question. So I actually picked a question submitted by Angela Englert, a longtime Twitflixer and drive-in mobber and a friend. So she submitted a good question and actually gave me a little bit more background on it. So I paraphrased it and asked it, and you'll just have to listen to the following audio to hear me ask it. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
There seems to be 2 microphones, but only 1 person. Anyway, my name is Malcolm McDowell. Nice to see you all. Nice to be here finally. I was supposed to be here last year, but I had a detached retina of the eye. Went into emergency into emergency to have the whole thing stitched up. Not very pleasant. Worse, in fact, than the doctor said, "Oh my God, it's that guy from Clockwork." Because I tell my patients, "Have you seen Clockwork Orange?" Because that's what you're going to go through. So I guess that all came to pass. Anyway, nice to see you all, and for those that said cards of best wishes last year, thank you. It's appreciated. Thank you very much. I believe this is a Q&A, so I'm only going to take intelligent questions. And I am going to be the arbiter of whether they're intelligent or not. Who is going to be the first? Okay, good. Well, that was fine. Thank you for starting it off. Obviously, it looks like a very intelligent young lady who's going to speak. Oh, maybe this is what the other thing is for, is it? To give pass around? No. Anyway, stand up and shout it out. Had I met Anthony Burgess, the answer is not before I did the movie. But afterwards, I spent the most glorious week in New York, traipsing along after Anthony Burgess, who was probably the greatest raconteur I ever heard. He was living at for the week that we were selling the movie, he was living at the Algonquin Hotel in New York because, of course, of its heritage being the place where the Writers' Circle was and all the rest of it in the 30s and 40s. Fitzgerald and all those people, were part of that circle of authors that hung out there at the bar, I guess. But he was an amazing raconteur and, of course, a brilliant man. And the brilliance of Kubrick's movie is really 50% due to, of course, well, it's more than 50% due to Anthony Burgess, because it's not, he is the author, he is the man who came up with all this incredible language and this extraordinary, intrigue I think it was the first time in a major movie where the hero was an immoral man. This is before Silence of the Lambs. I think Hannibal Lecter was only possible because of Clockwork Orange. And so when it came out, the furor about this movie was so staggering. Because here was the hero who was an immoral man, a murderer, a rapist. And, of course, the liberal leading press, like the New York Times, loathed and hated it, not for its artistry, because I don't think that that's in question, but for its message. They accused Kubrick of being a fascist, which sort of amused me, because I thought, how do they know they didn't work with him? No, I'm teasing. He was, of course, a brilliant intellect, but, it's Burgess, to go back to Burgess, and I always like to really give credit where it's due, and, of course, it's a brilliant combination of both great talents, because a great book, often, as we know, makes a very boring film. And how many times have we seen that? We've read a book and loved it, seen the movie and been disappointed, because in your own imagination, you're making up the movie. And if the book is really wonderful, see, there are things, why I think Clockwork makes a good movie, because the story is so great. And I think that that's what people, the new generations that see it, and they love it, not because it's cutting edge or anything like that, but that it was when it came out in 1971. It's because of the message, that it's really, if you boil it down, what is the movie about? What's the book about? It's about the freedom of man to choose. to choose which path he wants to go on, either a righteous one or not. And that's what the movie is about. And Burgess has given us a whole world, a language, a futuristic look of what he thought the future was going to be. Well, we are now in that future, of course. And pretty accurate. Gangs, drugs, how about that? Weird makeups, but of course, but those weird makeups, sort of, they all go back. The whole punk movement goes back to Clockwork Orange. That's where they got it all from. So great, we're innovators, it's lovely. Who would have known? Who would have known me strolling into this boutique on the Kensington High Street and picking up a yard of eyelash and giving it to Kubrick as a present, because I thought it would be real cool. And he goes, that's great, put it on. What? Oh, okay. He took a picture and that's how the eyelash came into being. And the white stuff is all from my cricket gear. I was a cricketer. And I got my cricket stuff in the car. He said, oh, show me. So I put it on. He goes, what's that? I said, well, that's the cricket protector. He said, oh, wear it outside the pants. Hence the codpiece. So these things, this is how they go. And there's a big box of hats. And I went immediately for the bowl hat because of what it represents in the city of London and the establishment. So I thought that would be fun to kind of thumb one's nose at the city of London. Anyway, I digress, but no, Burgess was an extraordinary man. I'll tell you one story that we had to go and pick up awards for Kubrick and something else at the New York Critics Awards, and everybody was there. Nicholson, all the great stars of the day, and, Ryan O'Neal, I don't know. Anyway, everybody was there. And Anthony Burgess was receiving the award on behalf of Stanley Kubrick for Best Director. So he stood up and he said, I'm very happy to be here accepting this award on behalf of God, Stanley Kubrick. So immediately, of course, they all loved him. And he went on to tell a story how his father was the only member of his family that was vaguely connected to the movie business. And he was connected because in the 20s, silent movies, he would accompany the picture by playing the piano to whatever scene was going on. He'd follow it and think up something on the piano. And so one of these times, he looked up, he saw this very festive occasion, and got into the music. He didn't bother looking back, and at the end of it, he realized he'd been accompanying the Last Supper, for which he was fired. Obviously, they had no sense of humor. Okay, next question. Yes?
Yes, so I seen an interview with Gary Oldman on the internet. He said that you were his inspiration for going into acting. I was wondering what your thoughts on that, about being an inspiration to following generation of actors, looking up for their examples.
Well, Gary is a wonderful actor, so I'm happy that, of course, I was inspired him in any way. He's an extraordinary talent. There are some actors that I probably wish I hadn't. But Gary certainly isn't one of them. No, I'm just joking around here, but we are all inspired by someone, and we all go on because of their example to try and, reach our goals. And mine was Jimmy Cagney and Albert Finney. Albert Finney to me was, the great actor of his generation in England. Of course, Cagney is the great Hollywood star and one of the greatest actors that ever lived, I think. The greatest performance that ever lived was Jimmy Cagney. Way better than his contemporaries, Humphrey Bogart, people like that. In my opinion, Anyway, you never could take your eyes off Jimmy Cagney. Even when he was with all these leading ladies and all these other great actors, never left Jimmy Cagney. Just had a magnetism and an energy that was extraordinary. And Albert Finney too, I remember sitting in the Odeon, Lime Street in Liverpool and watching Albert Finney doing a movie called Saturday Night, Sunday Morning. And it's a fantastic movie, and Albert was amazing. And the weird thing is, I decided there and then that was it. You know, I was a coffee salesman. I was going to do it. I was going to be an actor. To hell with it. And because you know, how many times you come out of the movies and you're as a kid and you're acting the parts you've seen, you know, and the strange thing was that I guess a few years later, let's see, I did my first movie when I was 23, so I suppose only 5 years later, I was chosen to star in this movie, If, directed by Lindsay Anderson, produced by Memorial Films, that was owned by Albert Finney. So that was really extraordinary, the way it all came around. But anyway, I'm thrilled to have been the person to inspire Gary Oldman, but I'm sure if it hadn't been me, it would have been somebody else. He's a great actor. Yes?
When you're acting and you're getting into your part, which part took the most out of you emotionally?
Well, physically or mentally? Or both?
Both.
God, they're all so exhausting, really, but Caligula was long. That never seemed to end. I think I took longer to make that movie than the reign of the emperor. I think the most grueling in terms of physicality was Clockwork. It was very grueling. I was injured a couple of times, had a blood clot under my rib. That wasn't very pleasant. In the eye, of course. I think mentally, though, you know, I've made a few movies that psychologically are rather difficult. I made a movie called Evelenko about a serial killer who was a Soviet Union serial killer. It was based on this Chikatilo guy, and he was he not only murdered over 100 children, but he was a pedophile and he ate them. So hey, make a comedy out of that. That was grueling, but I think I found a way to do it, and it was a very interesting movie in the end. So, hard to say. It's always sort of the next one. I never really look back on movies. You know, people say, oh, well, do you remember this? And of course I don't remember at all because I never actually saw the movie. I'm sort of at the place in my career where I really don't have to see it. I just remember doing it. That's enough for me. Okay, anybody else? Yes, right back at that.
Is there any characters that you haven't played that you would still like to play? You know,
No.
None?
Absolutely not. Do you want to play Hamlet? Oh God. No. Well, I'm way too old. But no. Honestly, it is the biggest mistake for an actor to hanker after a part. Because he's played it so many damn times as an imagination that if he is ever offered it, it's usually flat. And also, you're going to be really disappointed in your career because you're very rarely going to be asked to do something you actually want to do. So, yes?
You play elements so well, I was wondering what you see.
You've got a nerve. Sit down. a movie is only as good as the protagonist. I mean, it's only as good as the heavy. If the heavy's weak and boring, the movie's usually a catastrophe. But usually you're given 6 scenes, have the world hate you. And I love the challenge. And I like to make, the more evil the better, the more charming you can be. Then it's even worse. But I never really feel that any of the characters I play are evil. Because I always think that, maybe the things that they do are evil, but there is a reason, however plausible, and however you may or may not like it, but there's always some psychological damage. And I like to use that, and I like to, if I can, hello, use plenty of room. Yes, please sit down. No, I like to make them as 3-dimensional as I possibly can. So that's it. Yes?
Turn down the part which you regret turning down.
Oh, God, no. Absolutely not. But I'm not going to tell you which parts I turned down. Would be extremely rude to the actor that actually played the damn things. But, no, to be honest with you, I never regret anything. And I've done some absolute shite. But really, you learn more from that than doing great successes, And in any case, there's only so much you as the actor can do. You can only do your best. And if it's not on the page, it ain't going to be anywhere. That's what I always say. Not on the page. Not on the page. Go rewrite it. And often it just never gets off the page. But that's just the way it is. Otherwise, they'd all be Clockwork Oranges. And I've only had the one. Yes?
So I saw a lot of similarities between your character in Nick and your character in Clockwork Orange. How did you use your experiences from Nick?
Now, do you want me to tell you why they are so different? It's shocking. You see, this is what I would call lazy criticism. Yeah, I'm going to go for you. Why not? You're pretty enough. You can stand it. This is what the critic would say. Oh, he's just saying this as he was in that. Bollocks! In If, I played a romantic revolutionary. Someone who was in love with the idea. Che Guevara, he thought was a great hero. Che Guevara was a bandit, was a murderer, was a miserable creep. But, according to McTravis, he loved what he stood for. In his mind, he was a pure revolutionary. Alex is a manipulator. I mean, he's... and also the style is completely different. The style of acting is completely different. One is much more real, and it's very stylized in Clockwork, and really goes for the comedy. I know that when it first came out, nobody laughed at all, but now people are beginning to smile. And so that's why they're different. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain that. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Who's been your favorite person to work with, whether it's a director, an actor, makeup artist, or producer?
Makeup artist? Darling, you've star, director, producer, makeup artist. Well, they have come up in the world, haven't they? My favorite makeup artist, what the hell was her name? No, I don't know. My favorite director was Lindsay Anderson. I made 3 movies with him, and I considered him a genius, and I still do. He is the most extraordinary man I ever met. And I've met some quite extraordinary men. But Lindsay Anderson was above the rest because, A, he was the one that took me out of the chorus and said, you can do it, you're the star. So of course I'm going to love him more than the rest. But putting that aside and being completely and utterly unbiased, because Lindsay Anderson, he was a great director, but he was also a poet. There was a great poetic side to him. And, his favorite director was John Ford. Now, for a European, you probably thought they would have, like the French or the Italian or, Bergman, the Swede or whatever, or Fellini, but Lindsay Anderson loved John Ford, thought he was the greatest director, and I must say, I tend to agree with him. And I said to him once, why is Ford so great? He said, well, Malcolm, there are many great directors and very few poets. John Ford was both. And so was Lindsay Anderson. So he's my favorite. But I loved Altman. I think Altman is one of the greatest American directors. If you want to see something about America in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and on, for 40 years, or whatever it was that Bob was making his movies, I would just say look at Bob Altman's movies, because that really mirrors the feeling of what was happening in America. And I think he was extraordinary. And also, he was a lot of fun to work with. He was a great man. And we were friends way before I worked with him. So I loved him. And comedy director, my favorite was Blake Edwards. Hilarious, terrific guy. I loved working with him. And also he told me all the stories of Peter Sellers in the Panthers. Oh. I thought this lady was bringing tea around. I need a trolley or something. No such luck. Where was it? Blake Edwards, yes. I did a film with him. Wasn't successful, wasn't very good, but I loved it. I did say to him, I'd just come off doing a play in London at the Old Vic. And it was a beautiful play called Holiday. It was a wonderful movie with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. And so I said, Blake, I learned how to do this cartwheel, and it's completely wasted at a 10-week run at the Old Vic, And he goes, well, hey, do it in the movie. And I went, really? He goes, yeah. Come on in. He goes, hold your jacket over your thing, drop the jacket, go to your wife, have this intense scene. I think they slapped her face or something. I can't remember. And he said, on your way out, do that cartwheel, pick up your coat. And I went, oh, genius. What a great idea. I get the cartwheel in, I slap her face, kind of fun, and I walk out, and there's a zip in it, and oh my God, that's the character. So the first take I did, cartwheeled out, picked up the coat, and ended up like that on the wall. Like, oh, there's the door. I ended up here. And I was like, cut. Let's try that again, shall we? So, but he was fantastic. The ideas like that, And of course, having worked with Sellers a lot, of course, Sellers was, a manic depressive. So, 1 minute it was great, and the next minute it was suicidal. But anyway, Peter Sellers was an amazing artist, of course. But anyway, yes.
I was curious, how did you get the role in Clockwork Orange?
From If. Kubrick saw If, and I was off the part.
What was it like working with you as a professional?
Is that a serious question? Not really. It's not a serious question when we only have an hour. He was a great, what do you want me to say? He tap danced brilliantly. He had a great intellect. I don't know.
Was he a jerk?
He couldn't cook. No, he wasn't a jerk. Of course he wasn't a jerk. Have you seen the movie? Well, how could he be a jerk? I couldn't give a performance like that for a jerk. No, he was an extraordinary man, of course. He was a child prodigy, which, you know, is a double-edged sword, isn't it? It means emotionally one may be kind of stunted, but saw the world from a different perspective, which is what makes him such a brilliant director. And he was one of the top 5 directors of all time in my book. And what makes him so special is that, you know, he took pretty much every genre of filmmaking and he made a classic. Whereas John Ford made mainly westerns, you know, John Ford's stamp all over it. I know he made other movies too, but mainly westerns. But Kubrick, you know, he covered everything. And for a man to do Paths of Glory, and then to do Lolita, and then Strangelove, and then 2001, which took science fiction from cardboard sets and Flash Gordon, a millennium jump, so that Spielberg and Lucas could jump on that bandwagon, and he gave them the impetus to do that. Because before that, science fiction was corny and ridiculous. And Kubrick made us wonder who we are. Why are we here? He asked those questions, you know, that nobody had ever asked before. Seems absurd now, but that was the genius of Kubrick, and he was. That's an amazing movie, 2001, I think. And you know, it was before, thank God, all those terrible computerized stuff, CGI stuff. This was real model and sets and the whole thing, and it looks so much better than any of these new movies, in my book. Good, yes. Oh, we're getting close to it.
My husband and I had the pleasure of meeting both you and David Warner a few weeks ago in Atlanta, but we missed the panel.
Oh.
We really enjoyed Time After Time, and we haven't heard anything about that movie yet. I was wondering, do you have any memories or any stories or anything you'd like to share about the filming of the movie Time After Time?
Yes, well, I've got a few things to say about that, but don't think I'll be saying them in this company. I love that film, of course. I fell in love with the leading lady. We had 2 children. What more could be better than that? So, of course, I should really say that's my favorite film. And if she was around, my ex, I would say that. But as she's not here, I don't have to worry. Unless somebody puts all this on the damn internet. Which is why one can't say what one really feels anymore. But no, Time After Time is a beautiful film. Well, excuse me. A beautiful film. I love doing it. And to be in San Francisco, it was magical time. And Mary and I fell in love. We had 2 stunning children. And Charlie McDowell made his first movie. He just finished editing it. And I'm sure you'll be hearing about him soon. And his girlfriend, yes, thank you, is with this beautiful girl who starred in a movie called The Dragon Tattoo. Her name is Rooney Mara. So they've been together quite a bit. She's a bright spark. Yeah. Okay, let's just say 2 more questions. And as you've got, is that a bowler hat? Close enough.
I was just wondering how you came up with the idea for Singing in the Rain and the Singing Clockwork Orange.
Well, soccer is on Channel 4. Bye-bye. What was the question? It's not the Liverpool game, that's all I care about. Yes?
I was wondering how you came up with the idea.
Oh, darling, look, I'd like to say it was a stroke of genius, which is another movie that I did, by the way. It wasn't. It was pure inspiration and what Bog says. It literally, I had to beat up this guy and do the business with his wife. And obviously, where we were in this movie, it was not going to work realistically. It was ridiculous. So what Kubrick had written, the sort of bare bones of script that we had, was that we come in and throw bottles of booze through a big window, and there was no real scene written, and we sat around for 4 days or 5 days with no ideas at all. And I was just sitting down and, kind of zoning out, if you like, and Kubrick just came up to me and he said, "Can you dance?" Now, I don't know whether it was serious or not. And just for fun, I leapt up. I said, "Can I dance?" And I went straight into Singing in the Rain and whacking her on the beat and the whole thing just... And I just saw his face. He was so amazed. And his eyes got very big, and they were big to start with. And he literally put me in his car. We drove back to his house, bought the rights to Singing in the Rain. So we came back and shot the scene, which took a week to shoot. So we had to reconstitute the whole thing, and I was going, what did I do then? And then anybody remember what I did? Oh God, I can't remember. But so it took a week to shoot it, but it's a remarkable sequence because it's not realistic. So you're getting away with a beating and a rape, and actually you're sitting there giggling. Now that's smart. That's clever. Thank you, Gene. He's the only one who hated it. He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. So there you are. You can't please everybody all the time. One more question. Yes, sir.
You work in so many areas, film, on stage, television. Which do you prefer? Or do you prefer any or the other? No, listen, it's the same, but just different feelings. A film is, of course, bit by bit. It's a mosaic that you're making, and you're making it 3 minutes a day. And on stage, you're getting instant gratification, and of course, it's a wonderful feeling to do a play. For an actor, it of course is much more satisfying in the immediate. The thing about theatre is, of course, that 3 people and your mother see it. That's it. And so, I think the greatest performance I ever gave was on stage. Nobody saw it, even though the place was packed for 9 months. And I do one piddling thing in The Mentalist, and 50 million times more people see that. So that's the weirdness of it. And of course, they don't pay you. But other than that, of course, I love the theatre. It's closest to my heart. And I think every real actor would say that. That's where I started my career, in the theatre. And I love the theatre. But, I've got small kids, and I certainly don't want to go off to New York and do a play, or London, because I want to take my kids to school. So, I can't do plays anymore. Besides the fact I probably couldn't remember it all now. I don't know. But I probably won't do another play. Sad as it may seem to me, maybe half the audience thrilled with that, but that's really, I think, where my heart is as an actor. But I do love making movies too, for very different reasons. Very different reasons. And of course, 40 years later, you can see in the old photo album something that you did, it took a year working with this genius guy, And there it is. And I look at it and go, is that me? Wow, I have put on weight. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, thanks very much for coming. It's very nice to